Hey, welcome back to the SA Weekly Talk Show here. Mike Callahan with special guest Ray Malaski. Going to be talking about traffic tips and optimized workflow. Ray has just been absolutely tearing it up in the service industry, especially in the home cleaning and janitorial services for his knowledge that he's been sharing at a bunch of different conferences and conventions. We met probably about a year ago, and I was really impressed with what he had to say and his knowledge on this. So I wanted to bring him out to the SA community, kind of pick his brain, and see if we can't have some knowledgeable takeaways for basically the SA community here. So Ray, if someone hasn't heard of you or met you before, you mind giving us a little background on yourself and how you cut your teeth in the industry you're in here?
Yeah, absolutely. So my name's Ray Malaski. I started in the residential cleaning niche. I started my business in 2011. We went with the traditional maid service, later rebranded, went with the online service, and eventually we sold that. So that's been about 3 years now. And the one thing that I've learned is I loved the marketing component of running a maid service. I loved showing business owners and at that time they were fellow business owners, how to do SEO and how to run a Google Ads campaign and how to do the automations and the workflow when somebody completes a contact form. Those were the things that I truly loved to do. So what I did was I decided to not focus on the maid service and open up a digital marketing company to help maid services maximize their lead flow, get a good return on their investment, and build beautiful websites at the same time.
Awesome. Yeah, I appreciate you kind of getting that introduction. And there's 3 or 4 main topics that I really thought would be the biggest return on investment. It seemed to be your expertise amongst other things. But first thing we're talking about as far as looking into traffic tips and optimized workflow is, I guess, if people are unaware of what it is, and then diving in to the nuts and bolts and benefits of it. But the difference between paid traffic and organic traffic.
Yeah, so this is a huge one, and I see people making mistakes all the time. So your website is designed for organic traffic. It's still optimized for conversion on organic traffic, but it's not the same as paid traffic. Paid traffic, you always have to have a dedicated landing page. And I know people are like, well, what's the difference? My website has the buttons, it's got About Us. What a dedicated landing page is super hyper focused content. So take your homepage, strip it down to the bare minimum, remove all the links in the header and the footer so that there's only one primary call to action and one step for them to do when they land there, and play with that. Maybe you need testimonials, maybe you need some brand recognition. But what we found is when you send paid traffic to your website, even a well-designed, well-optimized website, your conversions are less than 50% of that when they're sent to a dedicated landing page.
Okay. So go ahead.
So the takeaway here is organic traffic goes to the website, paid traffic, I don't care, Yelp, Facebook, Google Ads, goes to a dedicated landing page.
Okay. Now, is there anything that you'd recommend as a professional as far as these, your website as a whole, basically the homepage or these landing pages? It sounds like in order to get the biggest ROI, return on investment, we really need to optimize that CTA or that call to action on that dedicated landing page. Now, are you recommend going in through maybe paid advertisement, or at least throwing a Facebook pixel on these landing pages and being able to have a specific retargeting based on that call to action or interest on each landing page? Or is it more of a broad net across the whole entire website?
So you've already got the traffic there. And this is one of the things that you do well. Once you captured the lead, you follow up with them, and then you end up closing that lead through these lead captures. Why not remarket to it? So let's say somebody comes to your site, you've earned that visitor. Why not try to give yourself another opportunity to win them over because they didn't contact you? So remarketing, adding a Facebook pixel, retargeting on Google Ads, absolutely. I think that's a win for any kind of traffic source.
Okay, beautiful. And I was just curious because those are some of the biggest, hottest topics right now in the service industry, because a lot of people think that these Google ads or Facebook ads or different things don't work in the service industry. And from what I can tell, that's not the case. But I think it's the systematized approach and specific approach that an expert like you are suggesting that there's a systematic way of doing it. It's not just kind of going out and saying, drive them to your webpage. We need to actually have that specific call to action and almost be able to segment that particular person in your pipeline, whether maybe they're a cold, warm, or hot lead, maybe how we interact to them.
Right.
And diving in.
That's exactly it with the paid traffic, well, depending on the source and depending your ad copy, but like with Google ads, for example, that's a hot lead coming in. People are searching for the service. They need it now. So even though they're still at the top of the funnel, they're just a hot lead coming in, and you have, like a 27-day window to close that lead. And most people, they're calling or they're filling that form. And if you don't get back with them in 3 minutes, they're already contacting the next person. So, getting on them right away is key.
Yeah, and I love that you mentioned that. And that's going to lead into my next question here, but I just want to dive in that just a little bit deeper. So you mentioned that Google ad is a hot lead. They're ready to buy. That's qualified. So are you building out, as you're building this, is it more of a targeted thing? So if we're driving them off Facebook, that's usually, they're not looking for you. It's more brand awareness, where different marketing sources like Google ads is going to be, that's a hot lead. They're ready to buy. So we need to turn that around immediately for closing that sale, or they're going to go to the next web page or landing page down the line.
Yeah, exactly. And, sometimes even the paid traffic, they may come to your landing page, leave, and then search you out on Yelp or look at your Google reviews and then come back to your website and convert organically. I mean, there's just so many benefits to having paid traffic with the quality of the brand awareness that it brings, and with the lead generation combined, they're second to none. And you can make it happen right away.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. So that awesome nugget of knowledge there for sure. So diving into organic traffic and optimizing it to your call of action. As we talked before the call, you had some interesting insight on that. So would you mind expanding on kind of what we talked about before on that, and kind of diving in and give us some details behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, over the 3 years we've been doing this, I've had access to 300 or more cleaning service websites, analytics, and we're able to do studies and see what's working and what's not working. And there's one key takeaway that I want everybody to take here, and that's dual call to action. What is a dual call to action? That's giving the customer a choice to either complete the lead form or give you a call. One or the other. Some people like the lead form, like the instant quote. Some people, or whatever your lead is, to capture them. And some people like to call. This is the service industry. You're never going to get rid of that human touch, and it's really intimate, and people want to talk to somebody. So have a call to actions right next to each other, A, B. So A is get your quote, schedule your appointment, and B is call us now.
Okay. Yeah, great advice. And I guess it's actually two questions that kind of build upon that. I guess let's go back to the beginning of that. That breakdown is you mentioned analytics and kind of knowing what's going on that page. Is there specific tools that you would recommend as a professional to get those analytics? I know there's a lot of third-party things like Wicked Reports. There's different things that do heat maps. Is there certain tools that a service industry professional should be either A, using themselves, or B, probably handing off to a professional? If you're going out and searching a professional that does this for a living, that's reputable, are there certain tools that they should have in their toolbox as you're qualifying them to make sure they know what they're doing? They're getting us as a service business owner the best results possible.
Google Analytics does a great job, and it's free. It's a must-have on your site. If you don't have it, if you don't have access to it, if you don't look at it, make this a priority in your business. Understand the traffic that's coming to your website. Where are they coming from and what they are converting at? I'm going to give you some key industry inside metrics. Okay. If you're tracking calls, which you should be, and you're tracking lead forms, and your company is well branded already, meaning you're established in the industry, you can expect a conversion rate of 30% on organic traffic. If you're just starting out and your brand recognition isn't that well in the market and your traffic's low, and what I mean by low is probably under 750 users a month or under, you can expect about a 14% conversion rate with a dual call to action.
And now, Ray, as you're saying that a conversion, is that actually filling out that lead acquisition form or picking up the phone and calling? Or are you talking about a conversion into a client? I'm assuming it's the first, but I want to make sure we're clear.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's collecting the lead, getting the lead information. That's the conversion that we're referring to here.
Beautiful. And awesome advice. So I think one thing that I can add on to, at least for the people here in the SA community, or any other CRM that you're using, a customer relationship management software, is the thing that you hit upon, Ray, that we find when we work with other Service Autopilot users as a certified advisor, that one of the biggest missing links and misconceptions, I guess, of the system, or any CRM, but for that matter, is laying the foundational pieces of that CRM when you first set it up. So literally from website acquisition off that lead capture form, whether it's a long form or short form, and I'm curious to your thoughts on that in a minute, and I'll dive into what that is, or if they physically call your office. So you basically have two main places that they're calling right now. And another hot one that we're starting to see is literally Facebook Messenger through bots that are automated, like ManyChat, and there's semi other ones, MANY Chat. If you're doing some research on this and watching that, highly recommend that platform. That's what we were using, Callahan's, as well as Simple Growth. But as they come in, we need to have that lead source tracking set up in the CRM so we can track how many people came from each lead source, how many converted into a client, and if there was a paid advertising source, what the cost per lead acquisition was. And potentially, once you have that foundational information in a product like Service Autopilot, we've got some data that we can run in and say, what was the customer lifetime value per marketing source? And then when someone goes out and works with a professional like Ray, it's a math game at that point. So based on the different things you're driving and how you're driving them, so if I'm putting $20,000 or $30,000 in this source, we know on average how many leads are going to be acquired and how many on average will convert into a client and what that lifetime value is. So it's those foundational pieces that you touched on that I wanted to just go in depth a little bit more, because I feel like sometimes that's the thing that gets missed when we're setting these things up.
Oh, it does, and sometimes, the owners just don't have the time to care about it. And, that's why we're good at what we do, because we know this stuff. We know what those metrics are. We know what the industry benchmarks are, and we make sure we're hitting them. And what that's called is conversion rate optimization. So if you go to a conversion rate optimization specialist, you could spend $2,500 just on them trying to figure out what works, right? Where we come in and we say, yep, dual call to action, bam, bam, this will get us our conversion rate onto the next problem. And then we're the ones monitoring those dollar amounts to making sure that they're being optimized, not them. Yeah,
no, great advice. And that's an area that in my business, I'm not playing in. I'm going to let somebody else handle that. I'll handle my lawn care or my the automations and things we're doing. That's not an area I want to monitor by any means. So as we dive into that, and what we're talking about once we hit that, what are your thoughts on the difference between a pop-up lead capture versus a dedicated contact page as we're building those out, and kind of break down the difference between each so people can understand what that looks like?
So first of all, we need to understand organic traffic. All right. 80% of users use mobile phone versus desktop. So optimizing your site for mobile is key, because that's the majority of your traffic. I mean, everybody look in their Google Analytics now. If you see the traffic source, you're going to see what device type too, and it'll show desktop or mobile. And you'll see that the vast majority comes through on mobile now. And this is only increasing. This isn't decreasing. The more and more people, 3 years ago, it was like 40%. So, now we're at 70, 80%. this is an important source that you need to look at. And what people want on mobile is fast. And you have a lot of battles in between that. So you've got internet speed, you've got your hosting speed, are you hosted on a good server? You've got what kind of form do you have? So when they push that button, how long does it take to get to that next step? And what we found is the people that have contact pages adds another 2 to 3 seconds to that time that somebody's on your site waiting for that page to load. So pop-up forms convert faster because they push the button and bam, it's there. The pop-up's there. They can start filling in their information, hit end, and it submits through. And what I mean by a pop-up is, let's say your call to action is schedule your quote today. When they click that button, a pop-up form comes up and it has name, address, phone number, home size, whatever information you have to give the person a quote, and then they hit submit. And here's one more thing. Send them to a thank you page. They need to know what the next step is. So after that's filled out, the thank you page launches and it tells them, thank you for contacting us. We will reach out to you within whatever time. Maybe it's on the weekend, you guys are closed. Set those expectations with those customers too. And follow up with them as quick as you can.
I love it. All great advice for sure. One of the things that I forget off the top of my head live on the spot here is one of the things I've seen a lot with Facebook that reinforces exactly what you're talking about is that pop-up is a lot of times right now, a lot of digital marketers are seeing better conversion because traditionally when you click a sponsored ad, we would retarget or send them to a actual landing page itself. The data is not 100%, but right now what Facebook is saying is that lag time between that, a lot of people, there's a percentage of people that will jump off where they're actually having an internal quote unquote landing page that's internal to Facebook that pops up immediately and they're seeing better conversions on that. And then after that, once we've actually done that lead capture, then we transition them eventually to a landing page where we can actually pixel them. But with that internal landing page that's now on Facebook, they're actually allowing you to pixel and still retarget for that 180 days. So I think that's just reinforcing what Ray's talking about. He's 100% right that we need to make sure that timing and it's optimized for that mobile because if Facebook is telling us you're losing some of that lead conversion jumping over there because that little couple seconds, when that other thing pops up immediately, people are hitting it and they want instant gratification. So I think that's just great advice and totally spot on. When you're working with an industry expert like this, that those little tweaks or things can save you thousands of dollars over a year, just because this is where he's living day in and day out. So Ray, I know you're really compressed for time today. So I appreciate you cutting some time up. But as we're closing up, any latest trends, things that you're seeing either in paid traffic, organic traffic, or anything else that you would recommend? And do you have any take right now? I know a lot of people in the SA industry, the ecosystem right now, whether they're using SA or looking at SA, are really big into content marketing, that organic, we're going to call it organic marketing or lifecycle marketing to kind of just give free education to drive people to those landing pages. Is there anything we can do in our content or our landing pages to really double down the effect of going out 2 to 3 times a week or 5 times a week, like in a Garrett Matthews and myself, where we're just constantly trying to put out educational brand awareness to build more basically lead flow to those landing pages?
Yeah, have a simple opt-in on these things. And we don't need a lot of information because you got to remember the source of the traffic is coming in informational. So what that is, like you mentioned, it's a brand opportunity. This isn't necessarily lead generation. It's connecting yourself with whatever your market allows you to. So if your market has, 160,000 people and 10% of that is your market, that's just one of those people that you're trying to connect with your brand and to stay in front of them so they know about you when and if they do think about a cleaning service. So have a quick opt-in with a little offer. It never hurts. Okay,
beautiful. Yeah, great advice. And I know basically the stats behind that, the last I saw was they call it 0 moment of truth. So that is the one time that you actually realize that potential lead exists. 70%, according to Google and Forrester research, is 70% of that buying decision is made before they ever actually physically reach out to hit that page or call to get an estimate. So driving things to those landing pages, like Ray said, potentially, and continue to reinforce that branding and give them the dual call to action is going to be probably the best bet for your money to get that 70% of the buying decision made before they contact you. And when they're ready to make that buying decision or contact you, you've got those two options for them ready to go instantly. So
absolutely. Yeah. Branding is so important in a business, and it's most often the most underlooked at. People think branding, what is branding? I need leads, I need growth in my business. Well, if you have a long-term strategy, branding is definitely part of that. And these things are those little teeny things that you could do to get in front of your ideal audience. That's a great point.
Awesome. Well, I can't thank you enough, Ray. If people are looking out to see what you do, how you help them out, how can people get a hold of you? And how do they get a hold of you, to reach out to see if you'd maybe a good fit for their needs?
Yeah, absolutely. So getcleaningclicks.com is our cleaning service website for marketing. It has plenty of information on there. We have some case studies, some client reviews. If you feel like we're a good fit, fill out the strategy session form and I'll reach out to you. We'll jump on a quick call, kind of make sure that our visions are in line. And then if that works, we'll actually do a free market analysis where we go in, look at your market, and put some KPIs to the potential marketing that we can do, and then give you a plan of how we can achieve those.
Awesome.
So feel free to take a look at our website and fill out that form. I'd love to work with you.
Okay. Thanks again, brother. GetCleaningClicks.com it was. And coming up next week, SA Weekly Talk Show got another couple big hitters in the cleaning and lawn care industry. You're going to be making a hard press push here. I've got probably 7 or 8 speaking engagements here in the next 5 to 6 months, but I'm going to try to keep the weekly rhythm going here all the way up to SA6 in Plano, Texas. Simple Growth and the Simple Growth team will be live with a free 8-hour event the day before SA6. Got a couple spots left. So if it's something you're interested, drop me a PM in private message and we'll get you the link there. But just another free event. We want to provide value and content and continue to grow this ecosystem with experts like Ray. So Ray, once again, thanks a lot, buddy. And I'm sure this is not the last we've heard of you. Just absolutely blowing it up in the cleaning industry as far as, traffic and optimization. So thanks again, buddy. Appreciate it.
Mike. Keep doing what you're doing, man. I love it.
All right. Appreciate it, brother. Have a good one.
You too.